everything I've noticed, and all that I have known is so easy. We speak the words of reason when no one even means them. What are we?
Bute Inlet is an amazing place that's about 150 kilometers north of Powell River. And it's a place that's been staked by Plutonic Power, which is a large private power company. And they want to dam and divert 17 rivers in this watershed, including the Jiwakwa, which I'm standing in front of, and put those 17 rivers into pipes. We would see over 400 kilometers of transmission lines, 400 kilometers of roads. We would see 104 new bridges being put in, and this is in the heart of grizzly bear habitat. This is in the heart of mountain goat habitat and actually wild salmon also.
Is this project really appropriate? I think projects, a hydro project, a small hydro project here and there near a community where it's needed is appropriate. But to have 17 rivers in magnificent valleys, several valleys in this area, all interconnected, I don't think that is appropriate. I think it's going beyond what green power should be.
This power's not green. It's so far from green. It's immensely destructive of the wilderness environment. Yes, the actual energy that comes from the water hasn't produced any carbon, but the footprint of building these power plants in this remote location is stupid.
One of the most amazing watersheds in the world, the highest mountains in Canada, glaciers, grizzly bears. In fact, Bute Inlet has grizzly bears. There's probably about 300 grizzly bears in Bute Inlet and its adjacent watersheds. This is the southernmost stronghold in North America for grizzly bears. But I don't believe that the bears will return if those projects go ahead. Grizzly bears need a lot of space to function, and they're not going to have that space with all this industrial activity happening.
13,200 feet that you're looking at there. It's just 40 miles away from us here. One of the world's great mountains. And you can see these doll porpoises swimming all around us in this gorgeous setting. And you just have to imagine what this might look like when you see power lines coming all the way up this west side of the inlet from the Bear Valley, all the way around, picking up the main lines coming out of the Himalayas Valley, circumventing the whole head of the inlet across here, connecting up with the South Gate system, with the substation right there at the estuary, and then continuing right around down this west side of the inlet. So from this spot they would completely 360 degrees all the way around us, a complete circle of permanent scar, permanent visual scar on the landscape.
This is Canada's Himalaya. Mount Waddington is Canada's Everest. And why are we allowing multinational corporations to come here, trash this incredible landscape, to squeeze a few megawatts of energy out of here that British Columbians don't even need?
Run of river is a misnomer. In fact, it implies that there's a small little wheel on a stream somewhere connected to a generator that produces electricity. These projects are far from that. What they really should be called are river diversion projects, because essentially what you're doing is you're diverting some of the water out of the stream in certain times of the year, a large fraction of the water, perhaps up to 90% of the water out of the stream or river, and through a pipeline that's going downhill to a powerhouse where there is a generator. And essentially what you're creating is a column of water, a weight of water over that generator, creating pressure. A combination of pressure and the volume of water flowing in that pipe is directly proportional to the energy you produce. The rivers in Bute are magnificent, fast-flowing rivers, huge volumes. So the capability of producing power is enormous, and that is the reason why this has attracted independent power producers to this area. The difference here is the scale of the project. Most run-of-river projects are simply one river or one stream. This is 17, so this goes way beyond what most projects will be. So the question is, what does that mean in terms of the cumulative impacts up and down this valley? No one really knows. The studies haven't been done.
We have a chaotic situation in BC. Local people haven't been involved. Environmental standards have been ripped apart, have been shredded. And we have private companies, very big companies like General Electric, that are calling the shots in BC and are pushing to the public and the environment to the side.
We're seeing a really ideological drive to develop this power under the private sector without any plan, which is really going to harm the people of BC. I'd say ultimately the decision makers are Gordon Campbell, his inner circle. I think that we've seen very clearly that there has been a close linking between Plutonic Power, the company that wants to develop Bute Inlet, and the Premier's inner circle and the Premier himself. So that is where the decision making is lying. It's not with BC Hydro.
BC Hydro, our Crown Corporation, is one of our best tools to fight climate change. So why would the provincial government prevent BC Hydro from producing new sources of hydroelectricity? And why would they mandate that any new sources have to come from the private sector?
Because the government is trying to circumvent any public process, trying to take away human power to sort of control development or direct it. But it seems to me if I was to direct development, I'd direct it away from the richest and best areas and focus on the poorer ones.
In 2002, the BC government forbade BC Hydro, which is our Crown Corporation, from producing new sources of hydroelectricity. And that started a gold rush with the private sector. And today in 2009, we have over 600 creeks and rivers that have been staked by private power companies in BC. And they're proceeding with no community input. The BC government introduced Bill 30 a couple of years ago, and it removed the rights of local communities to say which streams and rivers were appropriate to develop. And amazingly, there's no provincial planning. That right now in the Sunshine Coast, there's 186 creeks and rivers that have been staked. In the Sea to Sky corridor, there's like 110 creeks and rivers that have been staked. And the government, the BC government, doesn't look at the cumulative impacts of those projects. It doesn't look at the cumulative impacts of roads, of blasting, of logging, of river diversion, and transmission lines that come with all of these projects. And that's just crazy.